The next topic we're going to talk about is solving inequalities using addition or subtraction. So just like in chapter 2, when we used inverse operations and those properties of equality to solve equations, we're going to use those same properties in inverse operations to solve inequalities. So in this first example of asking what the solutions of x minus 15 are greater than negative 12 are, and then asking us to graph the solution. So we're going to use inverse operations to get x by itself, now not just in an equation, but now in an inequality. So right now, x is being subtracted by 15. So I'm going to do the opposite of that and add 15 to both sides. Then what I have left is I have x is greater than a 3. So that means that I can plug any number that's bigger than 3 into this inequality, and it'll still be a true inequality. So if I plug something like 10 into that inequality, so if I would plug 10 in here in for x, I'd have 10 minus 15, and seeing, is that greater than negative 12? Well, 10 minus 15 is a negative 5. Yes, negative 5 is greater than negative 12. With inequalities, I have multiple answers because there's multiple numbers that are greater than 3. So I chose 10 there. I could also choose 20 to plug in there. If I plug in 20, I have 20 minus 15. I'm seeing, is that greater than negative 12? Well, 20 minus 15 is 5. Yes, 5 is greater than the negative 12. So that also works. So to show that I have multiple solutions to this inequality, I'm going to graph my solutions using a number line. So I have my number line, and I'm going to place 3 on that number line. I'm also going to place a 4 and a 2. Since I'm greater than 3, remember 3 is not a solution. If I would try plugging 3 into this inequality, I would not have a true inequality because that would leave me with 3 minus 15, seeing as that greater than negative 12. Well, this would leave me with negative 12 is greater than negative 12. Negative 12 is not bigger than negative 12. They are equal. So that does not satisfy the inequality. So I cannot include 3 as a solution, so that means I'm going to use an open circle at that place of 3. And then I'm everything that's greater than it, so my arrow is going to point to the right to show that my solutions are everything that's bigger than 3. The next example, t plus 6 is greater than negative 4, and then graph our solutions. So right now t is being added by 6, so I'm going to do the opposite of that and subtract by 6 on both sides. I am left then with t is greater than negative 10. And graphing my solutions to this inequality, so I have my number line, I include negative 10 on that number line, and maybe a few other numbers outside of it. I'm greater than negative 10. I can't include it as a solution, so I'm going to use an inequality symbol there, and everything bigger than that would be to the right on my number line. The next example, so I have y is being added by 12. The opposite of adding 12 to something is subtracting 12 from it. Then this leaves me with negative 13 is greater than or equal to y. Remember, when our variable is on the right-hand side, it may be more helpful to rewrite that inequality. So remember, I can rewrite this inequality as y is less than or equal to negative 13. Notice in both inequalities, the smaller portion of my inequality symbol is pointing towards the y. So notice the alligator is eating the negative 13 in both of them. So that shows me that those are the same true inequalities. The reason why I rewrote it this way is because then that helps me draw it on a number line. So I have negative 13 included on my number line. I can include negative 13 as a solution because I have this or equal to. So I'm going to have a solid circle at negative 13, and I'm everything that's less than that because the alligator is eating the bigger part, which is the negative 13. So my smaller part is the y. So I have to point my arrow to the left. All right, so this story problem says the hard drive on your computer has a capacity of 120 gigabytes. Capacity means that that's the most that it can hold. So I can't hold anything more than 120 gigabytes on my computer. So that means that my hard drive has to be less than or equal to 120, those 120 gigabytes. Right now, though, I already have 85 gigabytes on my computer. So I already have 85 on there, and then I'm going to add on some home videos. So I'm going to add on H to that 85, but I still have to have that sum less than or equal to 125 because that is the most I can hold on my computer because its capacity is 120 gigabytes. Same thing here. I'm going to use inverse operations to solve this equation. Right now I'm adding on 85, so to get that to cancel out, the opposite of that is subtracting 85 from both sides. After I use those inverse operations, I'm going to be left with something like h is less than or equal to 35. So that means when I ask what are possible sizes of your home video collection you can save less than or equal to 35 gigabytes of home videos. Remember, it's a story problem, so you should definitely include a label. In this example, it says a club has a goal to sell at least 25 plants for a fundraiser. At least. At least means that's the smallest amount that they want to sell. So that means that they should be able to sell 25 or anything more than that. So my inequality symbol, that means that is a greater than or equal to 25. Those club members have sold 8 plants on Wednesday and 9 plants on Thursday. So I sold 8 plants, and then I sold an additional 9, so I'm going to add 9 also onto my total. And then I want to know, well, I need to sell some more. So I'm going to add on some more plants, so plus an additional P amount of plants. I can combine these two like terms. Remember, I can combine them because they're on the same side of an inequality, just like equations. I can combine like terms that are on the same side. So 8 plus 9 is 17, so I'm left with 17p is greater than or equal to 25. Same thing, I'm going to use those inverse operations to get p by itself, so I'm going to subtract 17 from both sides. This is going to leave me with p is greater than or equal to 8. So that means possible numbers of plants that I can sell on Friday to meet my goal. I need to sell at least 8 plants. I could sell more than that and still make my goal.